What's going on there, guys? We back with another one, and today we got to talk about Coach Prime and his comments some more. Now, Emmanuel Acho offers some insight on it. If you don't know Emmanuel Acho, he hosts Speak for Yourself, and it's a very good show on FS1 where they talk sports and different topics, right? Well, Coach Prime, if you aren't familiar with what he said, he spoke about his quarterbacks that he's recruiting. They need to be from two-parent homes, which in return, based on how people perceived it, that he said that makes them smarter and able to make better decisions. And he said linemen are the same, but he said his D linemen are a little different, and they need to come from single parent homes on free lunch. And that set the internet ablaze. You had D.L. Hewley, Marcus Spears, several others that weren't feeling the comments, because essentially they were thinking that Deion was saying that those kids aren't, smart. They're just good athletes, the D line or whatever. And Emmanuel Acho, he spoke out against it today, and not against Deion and not against those guys necessarily, but he did say that during his pre-draft meetings with teams, they asked him some of these same questions. Check out what Deion said, and then check out what Emmanuel said, and I'll be right back with my commentary. Check it out.
Offensive line. My defensive line is totally opposite.
What do you mean?
Single mama. Trying to get it. He's on free lunch.
Deion Sanders is wild. Did y'all hear what he said? He said when he recruits a quarterback, he wants them to come from a two-point parent home, good decision makers. But when he recruits a D lineman, he wants them single mamas, free lunch type. That sounds crazy on face value. Let me tell you all a story. I was coming out of college, NFL Combine. You meet with 32 billionaires. I'm sitting with a certain team. I will not tell you the team. I'll just say they are a South region-based football team. The general manager, he says, Emmanuel, you come from a two-parent home, right? I'm like, yes, sir, I do. Dad's has his PhD in psychology. My mom is working on her doctorate in nurse practitioning. He says, what's the hardest thing you've ever been through? I said, well, the hardest thing I've ever been through is probably trying to live a life above reproach, just trying to stay consistent with my character each and every day. He said, anybody ever been shot? I said, no, sir, don't know anybody ever been shot. Grandma's still alive, parents still alive. He looks at me and says, you're not a great fit for our team. You'll be a great leader one day. Wish you much success, but you're not a great fit here. Essentially, he was saying my life had been too good for them to want to draft me. They obviously did not draft me. He got fired a few years later. So what Deion said, teams definitely think, college or pro. But it's the first time I've ever heard it said out loud.
So, guys, in this era, optics is everything. And what a lot of people rub wrong by is, did you see the way those guys were laughing and looking around like it was a joke to them, what Deion was saying? And the fact that Deion Sanders was speaking about inner city kids that looked like us, that was what was wrong with the whole thing, because he was insinuating that the quarterback was smarter than the D lineman, and that's not always true. You could get a D lineman that's, they could be smart. They could be from a single parent household and still have a 3.5, or they could be from a two parent household and have that grit. Now, there is an element there, though, if you're playing athletics and you have a single parent household athlete, right? And they are trying to make it better for their family. There is a hunger there in those players. That's undeniable. And I think that's what Coach Prime was alluding to. He was talking more so about that aspect. Sometimes you'll see teams that have a lot of skill versus teams that have skill and grit, and the team with skill and grit normally wins. If you even think back to, I'm gonna go basketball with this. If you think back to the Gonzaga Baylor college championship game a few years ago, those players from Baylor grew up playing on the blacktop, opposed to the players from Gonzaga. They grew up playing at the YMCA, and you could tell both are a very gifted group of players, but one just had that hunger. They were underrated and all types of stuff. You have those guys come in and they'll work. They're workhorses and they want to achieve that goal. Now, saying people that look like us are less smart making fun of them being on free lunch, I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, man. And Acho is basically saying this is the verbiage used in these pre-draft meetings. Said he was asked, was he even shot? And his answers to that being no made it where he wasn't a fit for their organization. So is Coach Prime repeating things that he heard himself asked when in the pre-draft process, or is this common knowledge that we just haven't heard as the public? Because Acho said he's heard it said a lot, just not out loud. And so Coach Prime, he's taking a beating there as far as the backlash from that. And I think he needs to choose his words a little more carefully. That's probably something he could have said at Jackson State and it wouldn't be as big, but the fact that he left for HBCU and now he's at Colorado talking this way is not favorable for him to say something like that, in my opinion. I think it's a little weird, man. And he probably, Coach Prime, I think I know what he meant by it. He wants hungry players, no doubt about it. Players from harsh environments are gifted. If you go to some of these hoods and some of the players that never make it and fall to the streets, they're some of the most gifted athletes you'll ever see in your life. There's no doubt about it. It's just not a thing that should be made light of. I ain't even gonna say he made fun of it. Made light of. That is the terminology I want to use. He made light of it when it's a real life ill. So, man, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.